Okay, welcome to bigbandtheory.net. First question is about Tom Schultz. Tom Schultz is the genius producer, keyboard player, guitarist, bass player of the band Boston. And so the two questions are, what school did he go to in terms of college or university? And what was his engineering? Pause. Okay, Tom Schultz actually had an engineering degree, which is pretty unusual for musicians because artists and sometimes engineering doesn't go together. And of course, if you're going to get a degree in engineering, where better else than MIT? And of course, where's MIT? In Boston. It all makes sense. Way to go, Tom. Okay, the next question with regards to the drummer. Now, this is bigbandtheory.net, and a lot of these questions are subjective, so it's just my opinion, and based on a lot of interviews with people, it's a very strong opinion backed up by many drummers. So the question having to do with drummers is, in our lifetime being the last 70 or 80 years, who has been the best drummer of all time? Now we're going to go out of the rock genre. We're just asking the best drummer, period, of all time. Pause. Okay, so if you answered Neil Peart, it's not Peart, Neil Peart from Rush, you get some bonus points. If you answer John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, you get some bonus points. But typically, when you listen to Buddy Rich, you will be blown away. Go on YouTube, listen to Buddy Rich. There's nobody ever like Buddy Rich. The control and the playing that he has, amazing. So I'm gonna go with Buddy Rich, best drummer to ever live. Okay, next is the theory, bigbandtheory.net. The rock trivia question is, name 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the guitarists that changed music forever. So these are not just great guitarists, but they came in with such an unusual technique or style, they literally changed music forever. So name 1, 2, 3, or 4 guitarists that you think did, and I'll give you my opinion. Pause. Okay, so my opinion is Chuck Berry took rock and roll to a whole new level with Johnny B. Good and all the songs that he did. Then later on in the late 60s, Jimi Hendrix was so far ahead of his time, it was crazy. Next came Eddie Van Halen, who took music and guitar playing to a next level, which was amazing. And then, believe it or not, a guy named David Evans, you would know him as The Edge from U2, did a whole turnabout with stylistic playing and drone notes and reverb and echoing that just took music to a whole nother place. So that's my answer, and I'm sure if you guys answered differently, it's some great answers, but those are my 4 that really just changed music. After we heard them, it never went back to the same again. Okay, keyboard players. Next trivia question is the 4 best rock keyboard players of all time. And keyboard, I am really going with overall, not just piano, synthesizers, organs, the whole work. Keyboard players. So 1 of 4, try to name all 4. Again, this is my opinion, so if you don't agree, that's totally okay. Pause. Okay, so my number 1 on the list is Keith Emerson from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I mean, when I first went to see him, he stole the show. He's playing classic music, rock style, 2 keyboards at a time, one behind him, one in front of him, spinning around on stage. He gave a show. He played Just Take a Pebble. He's using a guitar pick to pick the strings out of a grand piano, and then plays a grand piano like no other organ. When he played the first Moog synthesizer we ever heard on Lucky Man in one take, he blew us away. We'd never heard that sound before. So Keith Emerson, number 1. My number 2, 3, and 4 is, number 2 is Rick Wakeman of Yes. The things he did were amazing. Another player that played with Yes and other bands, Jeff Downs. He's amazing. And last is a guy named Eddie Jobson, who played with not only Frank Zappa, but went on to play electric violin like nobody's ever played, and keyboards like nobody's ever played, with a band called UK. So you can tell when it comes to favorite keyboard players, I must be a prog rock guy. Either that or prog rock is so difficult, you have to have those kind of keyboard players to even pull it off. You choose. Okay, next trivia question is bass players. So this is bigbandtheory.net, the website, and this is a trivia question about bass players. So bass players that came up with just amazing bass lines. So this isn't necessarily the best bass player that can do a lot of great stuff. Stu Hamm, Victor Wooten. These are bass players that played in a band that had so many songs with so many diverse bass lines that you could just listen to the bass lines forever. Okay, what might those players be? Pause. Okay, so my number 1, and it's a lot of people's number 1, a left-handed bass player out of Liverpool, England, from a little band called the Beatles. Those bass lines over and over and over again, he put work into those. They just make the song. And when you really start focusing on bass lines, it adds a whole new dimension to music. So grab some old, actually maybe a lot of the newer Beatles songs, just focus on the bass. It will be an amazing trip. A couple other, or I would say 2 other bass players that when I listen to their bass playing, how it complements the music, is John Entwistle from The Who and John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. Amazing bass players. How much bass can add if the bass lines actually complement and don't fight the music and just don't hold down the bed. They do so much more, where it's a whole secondary melody, instrumental lines going on in the lower register.